Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode in the Get Unstuck series with myself, Sarah Archer. I'm a career and leadership coach, and my passion is working with female leaders to create the right kind of career success for them. So whether that's either advancing their career or having more impact and influence in their current career, I'm really brings me joy to kind of work with female leaders to have that kind of career success. Having been a senior leader myself, I know how challenging it can be to really focus on your career and get what you need in order to feel successful, feel recognized, feel rewarded. And that's partly why I created the Get Unstuck series, is to give you 15 minutes in your working week just to think about you, some career development topics, leadership topics, things that we all struggle with, and just to get a little bit of help or some tools or some space just to think about what you need. So the sessions are always very practical, always around 15 minutes, and you can usually leave with something that's going to be actionable straight away. And I'm always on the lookout for new topics, and today's topic was suggested to me by one of my LinkedIn connections. Thank you very much. And it really resonated when they said it, because it's definitely something we all struggle with at various points. So today's session is obviously about how to identify your strengths for a new leadership role. So if you are here with me live and this is something that you are struggling with currently, please do let me know, give me a little wave, just pop a word in the comments, strengths, and then I'll know that this is something that you're finding particularly challenging at the moment. And obviously, if you've got questions on the topic or any comments, please do pop them in the chat. I will answer them as we're going along. Or if you're watching later on and you've got a question, then do tag me in the comments and I'll come back and answer those questions for you. So let's dive into this topic, because obviously it's important to know what your strengths are, because it helps to position you for your next role if that's something that you're thinking about at the moment. But obviously it can be challenging at different points in our career to recognise our strengths. It might be that we've had a lot of diverse experiences, and it can be a struggle maybe to see how those diverse experiences add value to maybe the current job that you're going to be applying for or that you're currently in. Or it might be that you're so immersed in the day-to-day, in the busyness of work, because let's face it, if you're working as a senior leader, your days are going to be probably really full on. It can be hard to see what you do as a strength because you just don't have that reflection time to revalue it. Or maybe you're taking your strengths for granted because it's just something you do all the time and you just don't see it as different to what anybody else does. Or maybe you've had a bit of a confidence knock recently. Maybe it's been redundancy, or you've been trying to move for a while and you haven't been able to move, or you've had a bad experience at work that can just make you question your value and question the strengths that you're bringing. Or maybe you've been job searching for a while and you're just not getting interviews because your messaging isn't clear. You don't have that clarity about what you're bringing, what your offer is. And in fact, I was doing some interview coaching this week with a senior leader who has been getting interviews but not getting the job offers. And what we started to do is actually look at how she was articulating her strengths, her unique selling points, the things she was bringing to the role. And just doing that really small exercise was able to kind of begin to transform how she then felt in terms of her confidence at interviews. So, I suppose the thing is just to say that you're not alone if this is something you struggle with, because lots of people find it really difficult to articulate what they're bringing. And we're going to look at a few different ways that you can gather that information to help you either in your current role articulate your value, or if you're thinking of moving to another role, be able to have that clarity around your positioning and your messaging. Now, obviously, it's important work to do, really understanding your strengths, because it will increase your self-belief and your career confidence if you have that inner confidence, inner knowledge of what you bring and why you are really good at what you do. It also means that you can find the right role for you, because you want to have it, the next role or your current role, it's, you want it to play to your strengths, because obviously if it plays to your strength, then you are more likely to enjoy it, because we tend to enjoy what we're good at, and you're going to perform well because it's playing to your strengths. So it will help you with that whole clarity piece about what the next right role is for you. It also means you're more likely to be paid what you're worth if you can articulate and know your strengths, because then you can articulate the value you're bringing. So that whole negotiation piece when you're looking at that new role, or if it's promotion in your current role, or pay review time, you're going to be able to articulate the value that you bring and therefore justify that pay increase. So there's lots of really important reasons why you need to be able to articulate your strengths. But as I said, it can be tricky. And, I've got a couple of client examples, because I think it's always nice to know that other people are, experiencing this as well, just to talk to you through. So I was working with a client recently who's been made redundant. And obviously redundancy, does knock your confidence and make you think about, okay, what is going to be the right next role for me next? And as we were working together, we were looking at identifying her strengths and what she really enjoyed and what she really wanted in that next role. And she was able to see, because she was kind of thinking, should she maybe just plateau in her next role? She was able to see that actually she had a real strength in strategy, but also translating that strategy into operations and making things happen. And that she had been playing small in her thinking around her next role. And it really helped her to kind of open up her horizons around what that next role could comprise of for her, just by doing that work around her strengths and what she really loved doing. And my other client I was working with, we were doing some branding work, some leadership branding work around her particular strengths and reputation. And she identified that her biggest strength was around efficiency and really making things in the business really efficient and adding value to either cost saving or revenue generation. And once she got that really clear for herself, that was her real strength, and she recognized it straight away, that it was something she loved but hadn't really seen as one of her key strengths, it made her whole positioning much easier, in that she could then articulate that through her CV and through her positioning on LinkedIn and with her network, and the clarity about the key element for the next role for her. Recognize that you're not alone. Sometimes you need help with this. Sometimes it is hard to go inside and be able to see it for yourself. You do sometimes need that external perspective, but there are things you can do to sort of kickstart your thinking around this particular area. So the first thing you can do is just do a bit of an overview to get some perspective around your career journey so far, your life journey so far. And that is to create a timeline for yourself. So looking at what the highs and the lows have been of your life and career. This is something I do with my clients. And what you can then do is notice what are the themes that are linking those highs together, and what are the themes that help you navigate those lows. And some of that work, getting that perspective, will help you see both the character strengths, but also some of the technical or expertise strengths that you bring to your career. And we don't do that very often, do we? We don't kind of look back on our journey and think about some of the things that have linked our experiences together. And obviously that is really helpful if you have got that sort of diversity of experience where you feel the roles perhaps have all been very different, or you've worked in lots of different sectors. The second thing you can then think about doing is drilling down even further and looking at kind of achievements that you've had. And maybe you could take the last 5 years and think about the kind of key achievements that you've had and what has been going on there. What has contributed to them? What have you done? What skills, what strengths have you used to create that achievement? And did you love it? Did you enjoy it when you were in the midst of it? And then you can think about what is the value that brings to the business. So was it increasing efficiencies, like my previous client that I just mentioned? Was it increasing revenue or increasing growth? Was it around people? Was it maybe around innovation? Was it around risk? Because all of those things are really important to the business. So if you can link your strength with what the business is trying to do, that's going to really help you articulate the value that you can bring. And you can also drill down into your reputation, as I did with my client that I just mentioned, really thinking about your what you're known for, what your leadership brand elements are. Now, again, you can do this on your own, but sometimes you do need some support from a coach to do this with you, to help you spot some of the things that you might have a blind spot to. Because sometimes our strengths, particularly our character strengths, they're so innate to us that we just don't see them. We think everybody has them because they just come so easily to us. And so it can be hard to spot them, which is why sometimes you need somebody else to help you with that drilling down. And similarly, you can ask for feedback to try and counter maybe the blind spots that you have to your strengths. So obviously choosing somebody that knows you really well, that you trust, that can be objective as well, and asking them to give you some feedback on what they see as your strengths can be really, really helpful, and just kind of spark a conversation about, why don't I see that's my strength? Do other people see that too? And again, sometimes working with a coach around the feedback element can be really helpful. In the past, I've done 360 feedback sessions for my client where we've pulled together information from different people that they trust. And then the fourth thing you can think about doing is to create your narrative around your strengths. So thinking about, what story are you telling about your journey, your strengths, and the value that you bring to an organization. So remember my client I was telling you about in terms of interview coaching, doing that work around her USPs really helped her shape the story she was telling around the value that she brings to the business. So if you're feeling your narrative is weak because you're not clear, then obviously that is going to get in your way when you are at interview stage, but also when you're talking to your network about the kind of role that you want, or when you're just working out what it is that you want to do next. Your own internal narrative is really important. So again, thinking about that, maybe getting some support with your narrative if you feel you can't break out from the current narrative that you're telling yourself. So lots of kind of reflective things to do around identifying your strengths, but so important and so helpful in order to make sure that the role that you're going to take next, or your current role, plays to those strengths and enables you to get the recognition that you you are due, and also to get the pay if you're about to go into a new role that you want, or in your current role. So do that reflective piece, and that will give you much more confidence about being able to articulate the strengths that you bring that add value to the business and make a real difference. And if that's something you want some help to work through, then please obviously do, as always, message me. We can set up a conversation to talk through how coaching can help you be clearer about the strengths and the value that you bring to the business. So I'll be back next week at 12:15 with another topic. Please do join me then. Have a great week in the meantime.